In the middle of the 12th century, a period defined by fractured sovereignties, feuding noble houses, resurgent city-states, rising papal ambition, and the waning memory of the Carolingian dream, a single figure ascended to prominence whose name would echo through European consciousness for nearly a millennium. Frederick I, later known as Frederick Barbarossa because of his distinctive red beard, rose at a moment when the Holy Roman Empire risked sliding irretrievably into decentralization. A long sequence of weak rulers, internal conflicts, and unresolved tensions between secular and ecclesiastical authority had left the imperial crown diminished. Yet Frederick, armed with charisma, political acumen, military prowess, and a commanding personal presence, sought not only to restore the empire's former stability, but to revive its ancient grandeur. Although born in a time of discord, Frederick would spend nearly 4 decades reshaping the lands under his authority. His reign encompassed sweeping reforms, prolonged military ventures, evolving legal frameworks, shifting political alliances, and bold campaigns stretching across Europe and the Near East. From the rolling hills of Swabia to the fortified communes of Lombardy, from the contested streets of Rome to the rugged terrain of Asia Minor, Frederick left behind a legacy of ambition and conflict that extended far beyond his lifetime. His political maneuvers influenced the shape of Germany. His battles altered the trajectory of Italy. His clashes with the papacy redefined medieval geopolitics. And his final journey on the Third Crusade transformed him into a legendary figure woven into the cultural memory of the German people. This video follows his life from its origins to its mythologization, presenting a chronological and detailed exploration of his world. We trace the emergence of a ruler whose death in an Anatolian river did not end his influence, but instead ignited centuries of stories, songs, and national longing. For many, Barbarossa became not merely an emperor, but a timeless archetype of steadfast leadership. Understanding him requires understanding the forces that shaped the medieval European landscape, the challenges that confronted imperial rule, and the lasting impressions of his storm-tossed reign. Frederick's origins lay in the House of Hohenstaufen, a dynasty deeply intertwined with the fortunes of the Holy Roman Empire. Born around 1122 to Duke Frederick II of Swabia and Judith of Bavaria, his lineage carried both the Hohenstaufen and Welf bloodlines, two families whose rivalry had dominated German politics for decades. His father's domain positioned him firmly among the upper ranks of German nobility, while his mother's heritage from the Welfs endowed him with credibility among their supporters. This dual ancestry gave Frederick a political versatility unique among contemporaries. Growing up in Swabia, he was exposed early to the responsibilities of governance, the traditions of knighthood, and the turbulent politics of the empire. His youth coincided with the aftermath of the investiture controversy, a conflict that had weakened imperial authority and emboldened the papacy. These tensions remained unresolved and would later shape much of his political career. Yet in his early years, Frederick was far removed from such grand disputes. His childhood was shaped less by ideological struggles and more by local affairs of governance, military training, and aristocratic obligations. Even as a young man, he demonstrated a remarkable composure in the face of conflict. When his uncle Conrad III ascended to the German throne in 1138, Frederick's status rose as well. Conrad relied heavily on family loyalty, and Frederick's steady conduct, combined with his dynastic ties, made him a natural companion and later a trusted lieutenant on political and military ventures. These experiences would prepare him for the challenges ahead and help craft the persona of an emperor capable of commanding respect from warriors, nobles, and clergy alike. The first major test of Frederick's abilities came in 1147, when he joined Conrad III on the Second Crusade. This expedition, prompted by the fall of Edessa, was fraught with difficulties from the outset. The German forces faced logistical challenges, hostile terrain, disorganized leadership, and fierce opposition from Turkish forces in Asia Minor. The journey was grueling. Disease, starvation, and ambushes thinned the crusading army long before reaching the Holy Land. For Frederick, however, these hardships offered invaluable experience. He witnessed firsthand the necessity of disciplined logistics, reliable supply lines, and strong command structure, lessons that would influence his own military strategies decades later. He also observed the fragility of alliances when Conrad struggled to maintain cohesion among the various contingents of European forces. The failure of the crusade taught Frederick that the authority of a leader must extend beyond mere title. It must be enforced through decisiveness, organization, and the trust of one's followers. Although the expedition achieved few of its objectives, Frederick distinguished himself through courage and loyalty. He preserved his reputation amid the chaos, earning the respect of seasoned warriors and court officials. When Conrad returned to Germany weakened in spirit and health, Frederick returned as a rising star with increased political capital. When Conrad III died in 1152, the princes of the empire elected Frederick King of Germany, recognizing in him the stability and unity that had eluded the realm for decades. His coronation at Aachen signaled a shift in imperial fortunes. Frederick was determined to restore the authority of the monarchy without alienating the local nobility upon whom his power depended. His first policies, therefore, sought to impose internal order while balancing the autonomy of influential families and regions. One of his earliest acts was the proclamation of a Landfriede, a peace decree intended to curtail the private feuds that had long plagued the German lands. By requiring disputes to be settled in royal courts rather than through armed confrontation, Frederick attempted to centralize justice and strengthen the prestige of imperial law. This initiative reflected his vision of the empire as a realm governed not solely by tradition, but by codified principles that applied broadly to princes, clergy, and commoners alike. His early administrative efforts also focused on consolidating the royal territories and reinforcing the crown's financial foundation. Recognizing the importance of loyal allies, he elevated certain nobles, created duchies to stabilize frontier regions, and maintained delicate relationships with powerful figures such as Henry the Lion of Saxony. Frederick understood that Germany would only be governable if its internal conflicts were managed and its aristocracy kept in balance. Throughout his early reign, he displayed a remarkable capacity to navigate the divided landscape of the empire. His authority rested not merely on coercion, but on a calculated mixture of diplomacy, ceremony, and legal rigor. Yet Frederick's ambitions extended far beyond Germany. From the beginning, he envisioned the restoration of imperial power in Italy, where the papacy, the Norman kingdom of Sicily, and the fiercely independent communes sought to limit imperial authority. To revive the empire fully, Frederick would have to assert his power south of the Alps. In 1154, Frederick launched his first Italian campaign. The political landscape of Italy was highly fragmented, with northern communes resisting imperial oversight, the papacy struggling to maintain its independence, and the Norman kingdom of Sicily extending its influence. Frederick believed that restoring imperial authority in Italy was essential to reclaiming the legacy of the Roman emperors. Crossing the Alps with a formidable host, he made a strong impression on the Italian territories. His army disciplined rebellious towns, exacted tribute from others, and signaled the return of a determined and assertive emperor. Upon reaching Rome, he met with Pope Adrian IV, whose relationship with the communal government of the city was strained. After intricate negotiations, Adrian crowned Frederick Emperor of the Romans in June 1155. This coronation symbolized the renewed unity of church and empire. At least temporarily. Frederick left Rome soon after, partly due to unrest in the city and partly to avoid jeopardizing his recent success by entangling himself in prolonged disputes with the Romans. He returned north with the imperial crown newly secured. But he knew that his work in Italy had only begun. His authority there remained far from absolute, and the Italian communes continued to resist centralization. Frederick's second Italian expedition in 1158 marked a turning point. Determined to impose a coherent administrative network, he summoned the famous Diet of Roncaglia, where legal experts from Bologna presented ancient Roman laws reaffirming imperial rights. Frederick interpreted these laws as justification for reclaiming taxes, judicial authority, and territorial control from the northern Italian cities. Many communes saw these measures as an existential threat. Milan, the most powerful among them, resisted fiercely. Frederick besieged the city, defeated its forces, and forced its surrender after prolonged warfare. He then ordered the destruction of Milan's fortifications, scattered its population, and made an example of the city to warn others of imperial resolve. Such harsh measures, though impressive militarily, fostered deep resentment. Over time, a coalition of communes known as the Lombard League formed to resist imperial dominance. Frederick responded with additional campaigns, each testing the limits of his strength and the resilience of northern Italy's urban culture. Despite early victories, Frederick struggled to maintain supply lines and discipline during extended campaigns. Disease repeatedly ravaged his forces, and the papacy's fluctuating loyalties complicated matters further. Frederick's creation and support of anti-popes during a papal schism only deepened hostilities. Thus, the conflict evolved from a regional dispute into a monumental contest between imperial authority and the autonomy of emerging city-states. Frederick's relationship with the papacy deteriorated sharply as both sides sought to define the nature of medieval authority. While Frederick viewed his imperial office as superior to all secular and ecclesiastical powers within the empire, the papacy claimed moral and spiritual supremacy over all Christian rulers. The contested election of 1159 intensified this conflict. Frederick supported the imperial candidate, while the majority of cardinals endorsed Alexander III. When Frederick refused to recognize Alexander, the Pope excommunicated him, plunging the empire into a prolonged schism. This struggle mirrored the earlier investiture controversy, but took on new dimensions. The Lombard League aligned with Alexander III, combining forces of urban autonomy and papal legitimacy. Frederick, in contrast, rallied loyal clergy and nobles to support his cause. Over 2 decades, the political and military battle between Pope and Emperor shaped European affairs. Each excommunication weakened Frederick's alliances, while each imperial triumph against rebellious towns strengthened his authority temporarily. Nonetheless, the conflict drained resources, created diplomatic rifts, and repeatedly diverted Frederick's attention from domestic governance. This prolonged struggle would ultimately culminate in the Battle of Legnano. One of the defining moments of Frederick's reign occurred in 1176 at Legnano, where imperial forces engaged the Lombard League in a decisive battle. Frederick's initial strategy relied on the superior martial skill of his mounted knights. However, the League employed innovative defensive tactics, anchoring their line with a defensive structure and holding firm against repeated cavalry charges. When Frederick's forces began to waver, rumors spread that the emperor himself had fallen. Imperial troops, demoralized, retreated in disarray. Although Frederick survived, The defeat marked a symbolic and strategic turning point. The emperor, who once seemed invincible, now confronted the limits of military force in subduing the Italian communes. After years of negotiations and a renewed attempt at reconciliation with the papacy, the Peace of Constance was signed in 1183. It granted the Lombard cities substantial autonomy while requiring only symbolic recognition of imperial authority. Although far from the sweeping control Frederick had envisioned, the treaty allowed him to withdraw from Italy with dignity and focus once again on the broader affairs of his empire. Meanwhile, Frederick confronted a domestic challenge in the form of Henry the Lion, one of the most powerful princes of the empire. As Duke of Saxony and Bavaria, Henry commanded vast territories and resources. His early alliance with Frederick had been strong, but over time, Henry's ambition and reluctance to support imperial campaigns made him a threat to the stability of the realm. In 1176, Henry refused to assist Frederick during the Italian campaign, an act that undermined imperial unity at a critical moment. Frederick responded by convening judicial assemblies to try Henry for breach of feudal duty. Ultimately, Henry was found guilty, stripped of his territories, and exiled. His lands were redistributed to other nobles, weakening the wealth power base and reinforcing Frederick's authority. This decisive action demonstrated the emperor's commitment to centralized controls and the rule of imperial law. It also redefined the balance of power among German princes for decades to come. Throughout his reign, Frederick sought not only military domination, but also administrative coherence. Inspired partly by Roman legal traditions, he encouraged the development of standardized legal procedures and the expansion of written law. Imperial officials increasingly relied on trained jurists, who brought a level of consistency and professionalism previously absent from German governance. Frederick supported the growth of urban centers by granting charters, encouraging commercial activity, and improving trade routes. His policies facilitated the expansion of towns across Germany, contributing to the economic development of the region. Yet he balanced these initiatives with efforts to reinforce royal prerogatives, ensuring that the crown remained a key arbiter of law and justice. Through such reforms, Frederick helped shape the administrative foundations upon which later emperors would build. His reign marked a transition from a loosely organized feudal monarchy to a more structured and legally grounded imperial system. Despite his many accomplishments, Frederick saw the recovery of Jerusalem as the ultimate Christian duty. When news of the city's fall to Saladin reached Europe in 1187, the call for a new crusade spread rapidly. Frederick, now in his mid-60s, resolved to take up the cross and lead a massive expedition to the Holy Land. He spent months gathering forces, securing supply lines, and negotiating safe passage. His preparations were meticulous, reflecting lessons learned decades earlier during the Second Crusade. The army that departed in 1189 was one of the largest and best organized of the entire crusading movement. The journey across Europe and Asia Minor was arduous. Frederick navigated shifting alliances, dangerous terrain, and hostile forces with characteristic determination. He achieved several military successes along the way, enhancing the morale of his troops and reaffirming his leadership. Yet the crusade would end not in triumph, but in tragedy. In June 1190, while attempting to cross a river in Asia Minor, Frederick was swept away by the current and drowned. His sudden death shocked the army and reverberated across Europe. For many, it seemed impossible that a man of such vitality and authority could perish so abruptly. His death dealt a fatal blow to the crusade. Leaderless and dispirited, the majority of his forces disbanded or joined other contingents under different rulers. Frederick's son attempted to continue the campaign, but the momentum had been lost. The emperor's remains, transported with great difficulty, never reached their intended resting place in Jerusalem. Instead, they were interred in stages as the army moved onward, leaving his final burial site uncertain. Frederick Barbarossa's legacy is both historical and mythical. As a ruler, he strengthened the German monarchy, reasserted imperial presence in Europe, and advanced legal and administrative reforms. His conflicts with the papacy shaped the political landscape of the Middle Ages, while his campaigns in Italy left an enduring imprint on the development of the northern communes. Yet beyond these tangible achievements, Frederick became a symbol. In the centuries following his death, he emerged as a legendary figure destined to return in Germany's hour of need. Stories placed him in enchanted sleep beneath mountain peaks, his beard growing longer as he waited for the right moment to awaken. This myth tapped into a deep longing for unity and strength at times when Germany was divided or threatened. During the era of Romantic nationalism, his image resurfaced as a rallying point for cultural and political aspirations. Later generations built monuments in his honor, linked his memory to imperial revival, and celebrated him as a model of medieval kingship. Today, Frederick Barbarossa stands as one of the most recognizable figures of medieval Europe, not only for his historical deeds, but for the enduring mythos that grew around him. Across the span of his long career, Frederick Barbarossa demonstrated a command style shaped by discipline, logistical awareness, and calculated displays of authority. His campaigns reflected both the traditions of medieval warfare and the practical realities of ruling a diverse and often fractious empire. Although he inherited the knightly ethos of personal valor and chivalric combat, his approach extended far beyond battlefield heroics. He understood that military success depended upon preparation, negotiation, provisioning, and the maintenance of unity among competing noble contingents whose rivalries could fracture an army as easily as enemy attacks. During his early campaigns in Italy, Frederick learned that marching across mountainous terrain and besieging fortified communes required a methodical attention to supply lines. He organized extended columns of infantry and cavalry, supported by engineers capable of constructing siege works and maintaining equipment needed to breach the dense walls that protected wealthy cities. When confronting rebellious urban centers such as Milan, he employed both psychological intimidation and overwhelming force, seeking to demonstrate that defiance of imperial will would bring severe consequences. Even so, he recognized that brute strength alone could not subdue the complex urban networks of northern Italy, where alliances shifted rapidly and local identities inspired resilience against foreign domination. In the German territories, Frederick pursued a strategy of rapid mobilization. German nobles were expected to support the imperial banner with contingents raised from their own lands, and Frederick worked tirelessly to ensure that such forces remained loyal and disciplined. He traveled extensively through his domains, reinforcing personal bonds and reminding the aristocracy that the empire depended on unified military action. His handling of Henry the Lion demonstrated a more subtle side of his military thinking, for he employed legal mechanisms and symbolic displays to strip the Duke of his power rather than relying solely on armed confrontation. In this way, Frederick blended martial authority with political calculation, ensuring that force remained a tool of last resort while still projecting unwavering imperial strength. The Third Crusade revealed yet another dimension of his command style. Frederick approached the expedition with rigorous planning that far surpassed the efforts of earlier crusading kings. He arranged for safe passage through numerous territories, negotiated with Byzantine officials, and marshaled resources necessary for sustaining a vast army across continents. As the crusade advanced through Asia Minor, he executed a series of decisive maneuvers that overwhelmed opposing forces and restored morale after years of failures in the region. His death deprived the crusade of its most disciplined leader, illustrating how deeply the success of military operations depended upon his personal authority. Beyond warfare, Frederick Barbarossa pursued a comprehensive vision of legal and administrative modernization that reshaped the governance of the Holy Roman Empire. He recognized that stable authority could not rest solely upon charisma or force. It required institutional structure, codified norms, and a consistent vision of imperial justice. Drawing inspiration from Roman jurisprudence, he encouraged scholarly interpretations of ancient law, which jurists adapted to the political realities of the 12th century. These legal frameworks provided a foundation for the emperor's assertion of rights in Italy and reinforced his claim to universal authority within the empire. The Diet of Roncaglia symbolized his commitment to legal reinvigoration. Though the recommendations of the assembled jurists sparked conflict with the Italian communes, they also reflected Frederick's determination to revive imperial prerogatives, grounded in historical precedent. He envisioned the empire not as a loose confederation of princes and cities, but as a structured polity in which the emperor held supreme legal sovereignty. His insistence that disputes be resolved in imperial courts rather than through private warfare advanced the cause of centralized justice, reducing the destructive feuds that had plagued the German lands for generations. In addition to formal legal reforms, Frederick fostered an administrative culture that prized written records, official charters, and standardized procedures. The proliferation of chancery documents during his reign signaled the increasing sophistication of imperial governance. These texts served as instruments of authority, enabling the emperor to regulate commerce, define territorial boundaries, and establish precedent for future legal decisions. They also strengthened ties between Frederick and urban centers throughout the empire. For many towns benefited from privileges granted in return for loyalty or financial support. While not all his reforms endured unchanged, they introduced a new administrative ethos that influenced subsequent rulers. The empire that Frederick passed on to his successors may have remained politically fragmented, but it possessed a stronger legal backbone and a clearer conception of imperial jurisdiction than at any time since the early Salian emperors. The transformation of Frederick Barbarossa from historical ruler to legendary figure ranks among the most striking examples of medieval myth-making. Within decades of his death, stories circulated portraying him as a slumbering monarch who would one day return to restore unity and justice. These tales took root in regions marked by political division, offering reassurance that the empire's greatness had not vanished but merely slept beneath the earth. The mountain associated with his mythical rest became a symbol of latent strength, suggesting that even in times of crisis, the spirit of imperial resilience remained alive. Over the centuries, the legend acquired layers of symbolic meaning. To some, Barbarossa represented the hope for national cohesion in an age when Germany had fractured into numerous independent principalities. To others, he embodied the ideal of a righteous sovereign, untouched by the corruption of later politics. His imagined return echoed prophetic motifs found throughout European folklore, merging Christian expectations of renewal with secular dreams of political restoration. Artists depicted him with exaggerated majesty, writers embellished his deeds, and local traditions adapted his image to suit regional aspirations. The endurance of the Barbarossan myth into the modern era revealed the deep cultural resonance of stories that bridge past and present. Even after political conditions changed dramatically, the image of the red-bearded emperor remained a familiar fixture in collective imagination. He appeared in epic poetry, historical novels, operas, and national commemorations that sought to connect contemporary struggles with medieval heritage. Through myth, Frederick continued to wield influence long after his bones had been scattered across the Crusader states. Historians have long grappled with the challenge of interpreting Frederick Barbarossa's reign. Medieval chroniclers, influenced by their own political affiliations, presented contrasting images of the emperor. Some praised his dignity, justice, and military vigor, portraying him as the rightful heir to Rome's imperial legacy. Others, particularly those aligned with the papacy or the Lombard communes, depicted him as a relentless oppressor whose ambitions threatened the freedoms of cities and the autonomy of the church. These conflicting narratives created a complex historiographical foundation that later scholars attempted to reconcile. During the Renaissance and early modern period, historians revisited Frederick's reign with renewed interest in Roman law and imperial heritage. They admired his attempt to revive classical concepts of sovereignty and viewed his conflicts with the papacy as emblematic of the struggle between secular and ecclesiastical power. Enlightenment thinkers, however, often critiqued the medieval institutions he represented, seeing his reign as a stage in the evolution toward more rational forms of governance. In the 19th century, nationalism reshaped interpretations of Frederick's life once again. German historians emphasized his role as a unifying figure and celebrated his military and administrative achievements. This scholarly enthusiasm aligned with broader cultural movements that sought to elevate national heroes who embodied the values of strength, leadership, and endurance. As modern academic disciplines emerged, historians adopted more critical approaches, examining administrative records, legal developments, and regional variations in imperial authority. This shift allowed for a richer, more nuanced understanding of Frederick's policies, motivations, and limitations. In contemporary historiography, Frederick Barbarossa is neither idealized without reservation nor condemned without context. Scholars recognize the complexities of his reign, acknowledging both his substantial contributions to medieval governance and the structural constraints that prevented him from realizing his grand ambitions. His life continues to inspire research into medieval law, urban development, papal imperial diplomacy, and cultural memory, ensuring that the study of his era remains central to understanding the dynamics of 12th century Europe. Frederick I Barbarossa was a ruler of immense complexity. He sought to reconcile the old with the new, balancing ancient imperial ideals with the evolving political realities of the 12th century. His reign was marked by military ambition, legal reform, internal consolidation, and intense conflicts with forces that resisted the centralization of power. Although he did not achieve all his goals, particularly in Italy and the Holy Land, his influence reshaped the Holy Roman Empire and set the stage for future developments in German and European history. More than 8 centuries later, his life remains an enduring narrative of power, resilience, charisma, and ambition. His legacy, woven from both fact and legend, continues to captivate historians and the public alike, reminding the world of a time when emperors still dreamed of reviving the grandeur of Rome, ruling over diverse realms and commanding armies that marched across continents. In the grand tapestry of medieval history, Frederick Barbarossa stands as one of its most vivid threads, a symbol of imperial possibility whose story, from the mountains of Germany to the rivers of Asia Minor, continues to fascinate and inspire. Thank you for watching. Frederick Barbarossa's story stands as one of the most enduring narratives of medieval Europe, shaped by ambition, conflict, reform, and legend. His legacy continues to illuminate the complex world of emperors, popes, and rising city-states, reminding us how deeply the past influences the present. If you enjoyed this exploration and want more in-depth history brought to life, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next episode. Your support helps new historical projects come to life.